Before the Joker, before the chaos, before the world called him a genius, Heath Ledger was fighting a battle no one saw coming. And in his final days, something happened that Hollywood still refuses to talk about, because the truth behind his death is far more chilling than anyone ever imagined. And what investigators later found in his journal would change the entire narrative of his final days. The rise of a Hollywood star. Heath Ledger's journey to fame was marked by dedication, risk, and undeniable talent. Born in Perth, Australia, he began acting in television series and small films before moving to Hollywood, where he quickly made a name for himself. Roles in 10 Things I Hate About You and A Knight's Tale showed his versatility, but it was his performances in Brokeback Mountain and The Dark Knight that cemented his legacy. Ledger's commitment to his craft was extraordinary. He was known for immersing himself completely into characters, often studying them for months before filming. This dedication made him one of the most respected actors of his generation, but it also took a toll on his physical and mental health. But this wasn't the first warning sign, and tragically, it wouldn't be the last. Preparing for the Joker. Ledger's final role as the Joker in Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight would become legendary, but preparing for the role was an intense, isolating process. He reportedly locked himself away in a hotel room for weeks, keeping journals, experimenting with voices, and studying the psychology of his character. He sought to understand every nuance, every gesture, every laugh, creating a performance that would redefine the villain in cinematic history. Friends and colleagues noticed that Ledger became increasingly withdrawn during this period, obsessed with perfection, and emotionally consumed by the role. The pressures of creating something groundbreaking contributed to a growing tension in his final days. And in the middle of this downward spiral, Heath began saying things that worried the people closest to him, struggling with sleep and anxiety. What no one around him understood was how fast his condition was deteriorating. Behind the charm, wit, and energy that fans adored, Ledger was struggling. Reports from friends and insiders suggest that he battled severe insomnia and anxiety, often going days without proper rest. The constant demands of Hollywood, combined with his intense method acting, left him physically and mentally exhausted. To cope, he began taking prescription medications, sometimes in combination, to manage sleep deprivation and emotional strain. These habits, though common in high-pressure industries, would later play a critical role in the tragic conclusion of his life. And every night without sleep pushed him a little closer to the breaking point. Personal life and isolation. Ledger's personal life was both vibrant and complicated. He had a daughter, Matilda, with actress Michelle Williams, and he cherished his role as a father. However, balancing fatherhood, relationships, and a demanding career created additional stress. In the weeks leading up to his death, Ledger reportedly became more isolated, focusing on his work and personal projects while withdrawing from social interactions. Those closest to him sensed that he was under tremendous pressure, though few fully understood the depth of his struggles. Brilliance always comes at a price, and Heath was paying it alone. His final days were a delicate mix of professional obsession, personal responsibility, and emotional turmoil. The day-to-day routine. Those close to him said that every day looked the same, and none of it was healthy. Sleep remained elusive, and he reportedly experimented with various sleep aids to find relief. Even when engaging in social or creative activities, Ledger was intensely focused, always analyzing, always working toward the perfection he demanded from himself. This intense discipline, while making him an extraordinary actor, also contributed to exhaustion, creating a dangerous cycle that few could intervene in. Prescription medications and health risks. Ledger's final days were marred by his use of prescription medications. He had been prescribed drugs to address anxiety, insomnia, and pain-common issues for someone with his demanding lifestyle. Unfortunately, a combination of these medications, including powerful painkillers, anti-anxiety drugs, and sleep aids, can be deadly when mixed. Medical experts later described his death as an accidental overdose due to acute intoxication from these prescription drugs. The use of multiple medications simultaneously, even under doctor supervision, carries enormous risks that would tragically culminate in Ledger's passing. If you're still here, make sure you subscribe because the next story we're uncovering connects directly to this one, and it's even more unsettling. The night of the 22nd of January, 2008. But here's where everything becomes disturbingly unclear. On the 22nd of January, 2008, Heath Ledger was found dead in his Manhattan apartment. The news shocked the world. Friends, family, and fans were devastated, struggling to reconcile the image of the talented, vibrant actor with the reality of his untimely death. Hollywood saw the Joker. His friends saw a man disappearing day by day. The apartment was reportedly calm, with no signs of forced entry or struggle, adding to the mystery. Autopsy reports later confirmed that Ledger's death was accidental, caused by a combination of prescription medications. But the public and media were captivated by the narrative of his final days, trying to piece together the emotional, physical, and psychological factors that led to such a devastating outcome. Behind the chaos of the character was a calm apartment and a truth no one wanted to face. And what authorities found in the room raised even more questions than answers. Media speculation and public fascination. Ledger's death became a global media event, with speculation ranging from conspiracy theories to sensationalized accounts of drug use. Tabloids published unverified stories, while fans analyzed every interview, photo, and public appearance for clues. The intense scrutiny reflected society's fascination with the private lives of celebrities, especially when tragedy strikes. Yet, amid the speculation, those closest to Ledger insisted that he was deeply committed to his craft, loving as a father, and profoundly creative, emphasizing that the media often misrepresented the reality of his struggles. The impact on The Dark Knight. Ledger's death cast a long shadow over the release of The Dark Knight. His performance as the Joker was posthumously celebrated, earning critical acclaim and an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor. However, the film's release also became a poignant reminder of what the world had lost. Audiences were captivated by the brilliance of his work, yet mourning the tragic context behind it. Ledger's obsession with the Joker, his commitment to authenticity, and the personal toll of embodying such a complex character became part of the narrative surrounding his final days, cementing the role as both iconic and bittersweet. Friends and family speak. In the years following his death, friends, family, and collaborators offered insights into Ledger's final days. Many described him as intensely creative, dedicated, and kind-hearted, yet struggling with internal pressures. Michelle Williams spoke publicly about the challenges of co-parenting and the emotional weight of his passing. Colleagues in the film industry reflected on his work ethic, professionalism, and the emotional depth he brought to every role. These accounts paint a portrait of a man whose final days were marked by brilliance, vulnerability, and a profound humanity that the public rarely saw. Creative obsessions and journaling. In his final weeks, Heath Ledger became increasingly absorbed in his creative process, using journaling as a way to explore his thoughts, emotions, and character development. He meticulously wrote in journals, often detailing the Joker's psychology, personal reflections, and even sketches of ideas for his roles. Friends and colleagues later described these journals as windows into his mind, a mix of brilliance, obsession, and vulnerability. While this intense focus contributed to the legendary performance audiences would see in The Dark Knight, it also highlighted the emotional toll of his method acting. Sometimes the most dangerous battles are the ones no one notices until it's too late. His dedication to authenticity and perfection in his craft shows a side of Heath that few ever witnessed, revealing a man simultaneously consumed by his art and searching for personal equilibrium. In the end, Heath Ledger's final days weren't just a tragedy, they were a window into the silent battles even the greatest talents can't escape. The world saw the Joker. But behind that performance was a man exhausted, brilliant, and desperately trying to hold everything together. His story is a reminder that fame hides more than it reveals, and that sometimes the brightest stars burn out long before anyone realizes they were in danger. This was Fame and Fortune, where legends rise, fall, and reveal the truths the world never sees. Subscribe, because the next story is even darker than this one.